A local man is killed and police are looking for a motive.
How did Ohio University administrators decide to fill their budget hole?
And the search comes close to home for a man suspected of bombing a California mosque. All this and more right now on Athens Midday.
Live from Ohio University, you're watching WOUB2, television for Athens County.
Ohio University has a larger budget than expected, but there are still cuts to make. Good afternoon, I'm Miao Miao Shao.
And I'm Brad Evans. But first, the Athens County Sheriff's Department has just concluded a news conference about a murder investigation. The sheriff says a new Marshfield man was stabbed to death in his home. Deputies were called to the house yesterday when family members found 43-year-old James McLean dead on his couch. McLean apparently died of multiple stab wounds. Athens County Sheriff Pat Kelly says he believes a knife was used, but the weapon has not been recovered. Robbery is a suspected motive, and deputies say an undisclosed amount of money is believed to have been taken from the home. Kelly says they don't have a suspect right now.
Well, it's under investigation. We'll wait on the autopsy. We have more people in interview, and we'll be more than likely conducting more search warrants. I think my investigators are very close to identifying the person who did this.
The sheriff says McLean was also a person of interest in the 2003 killing of Ohio University student Terrence Ross. That murder remains unsolved. A high-speed chase on Interstate 77 yesterday in Washington County has resulted in felony charges for 3 people. Ohio State Patrol officers say the car was traveling at more than 100 miles per hour. Police say they found stolen electronics and fake credit cards inside the vehicle. The 3 people in the vehicle face up to 2.5 years in prison, plus fines if convicted.
Another police chase in Cleveland could have ended a lot worse than it did last night. 2 men stole a van with a teenager inside. After seeing a police car, they pushed the teen out, resulting in a police chase. The van stopped several blocks away with the suspects running away. A police chased them. The suspects began shooting at the officer who returned fire. One of the suspects' shots went through the windshield, headrest, and back window of a nearby van. Cleveland police arrested Larry Ross, Dwayne Chisholm. No one was injured in the incident. A man wanted for bombing a synagogue in California has been arrested in Cleveland Heights. The FBI says Raul Hirsch was wanted in connection with a pipe bombing in Santa Monica last Thursday. They knew he was headed east after being spotted in surveillance video in Denver. Hirsch turned up at another synagogue in Cleveland Heights Monday.
He didn't want to say his name. He didn't want to tell anyone who he was. He was just roaming around here.
Hirsch remains in custody. The FBI will take him back to California to face charges. The state of Ohio executed Clarence Carter yesterday at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lockersville. Carter was the 3rd inmate to be executed this year. The state is scheduled to execute 1 inmate per month through October. At this rate, Ohio would break last year's record of 8 executions in 1 year.
Slicing the budget, that's what Ohio University has to do. But where can cuts be made? Athens Midday's Michael Locklear joins us live and tells us it will be left up to individual departments. Michael?
Most university departments have to trim their budgets by a few percentage points. That's to fill the university's $5.3 million budget gap.
Administrators
better off, but not out of the woods.
We were starting with a $27 million gap.
Now the gap is slightly more than $5 million, and that's good news.
It's been a difficult process. It's been a long process. I know that we've been through many, many cuts, but I feel like we really tried to be responsive to a number of the issues that have been raised during this process.
Hearing those issues was the goal of yesterday's budget forum in Walter Hall.
What do you understand about the likelihood of legislators
passing the budget that the governor is proposing.
Ohio University could face even more cuts if the state budget goes back to the drawing board. Each OU department is now working out what to cut. Some of their options are faculty buyouts and early retirement. Increased faculty workload would mean professors teaching more classes. Another option is increased class sizes.
I mean, I'm not happy about the fact that we're going to have fewer faculty and the same number of students. I think that will have an impact on quality.
Adding students to smaller classes like this one might not be the best idea. Administrators say where you can get away with it is in large lecture halls, where you might not even notice dozens of extra students.
Larger classes are only one option that departments have, but they will have to cut somewhere. This German professor says she's already teaching more students than she should be, and adding more students?
It would be disastrous. It's a language class. They're not just sitting there taking notes. They're supposed to practice.
By the end of this month, each department will have to come up with scenarios for cutting costs, and another round of budget forums will be held May 2nd and May 4th. Reporting live, I'm Michael Locklear, Athens MidDay.
A panel of administrators addressed faculty and student budget concerns yesterday. Visit athensmidday.com for details on the discussion. We can't wait on the university any longer. That's what the city is saying about getting a new $1 million fire truck. Athens would like OU to share the cost. City Council member Sherry Kuhn says she will introduce legislation at the next meeting to go ahead with the purchase.
This Saturday is High Fest, the first of 5 fests that take place each spring in Athens. And for the first time, Ohio University is teaming up with the city to prevent the unsafe behavior of the Spring Street Fests. OU officials and students are working with the city to educate students about the dangers of underage drinking and violence during street parties.
Increase the likelihood that they'll get arrested, that they'll get in trouble, and further, amplify that negative town-gown relationship. So hopefully this will help them understand what the limits are, and not have it escalate to a point of being out of control.
Posters and flyers with the theme "What Happens in Athens" stays on Facebook and Twitter will be distributed in dorms and off campus. The vegan cooking workshop served up some healthy local food last night as a part of Earth Month. Athens MidDay reporter Jesse Dorsey went out to see what was on the menu. He joins us live in our newsroom. Jesse?
Thanks, Meow Meow. Lettuce wraps and homemade granola bars were on the menu at last night's vegan cooking workshop, and if that weren't enough, a special guest dropped by to teach the group how to make their own yogurt as well. One of the things you'll run into in Athens is locally grown produce. The vegan cooking workshop is held weekly in the United Campus Ministries building, but this week the fair featured exclusively locally grown ingredients as a part of Earth Month. The theme for Earth Month this year is People Empowered and Advocating Change. The VCW says that buying local is one of the best ways to empower change. The VCW holds their workshops to give people a good meal and to teach them how to cook vegan and why that's a good idea. They don't necessarily stress the vegan lifestyle, but rather that people know about their food and where it came from.
But it's about being conscious of who you're eating with, what you're eating, and especially during Earth Month, it's conscious of where you're eating from. So when you eat locally, you're supporting not only the local economics, but it's a lot better with environmental issues.
In honor of Earth Month, the VCW is only using homegrown ingredients like these in their meals. Also, yogurt peddler Annie Lambla taught the art of making yogurt. Lambla, who has ridden her bicycle throughout the Midwest, teaches the benefits of eating and making your own yogurt. After dinner was ready, everyone crowded in the front room to enjoy and eat their hard work. The vegan cooking workshop does not charge for the meals, but donations are accepted. Jesse Dorsey, Athens MidDay.
The Hocking College Board of Trustees is considering a plan to build solar panels in parking lots on campus. Solar Vision of Westerville would pay for the installation and maintain the equipment. Third Sun Solar of Athens has written a proposal to install the panels. An official says the $7 million system would last at least 25 years. And the State of Ohio Judiciary Committee has approved a bill that would allow concealed firearms into restaurants and bars that serve alcohol. The bill passed yesterday despite opposition from law enforcement officials. The bill still needs to pass the Senate and the Ohio House.
Being dead is not necessarily a problem for voting in Ohio. The Ohio Secretary of Senate's office says nearly 20,000 dead people are still on the voter rolls in the Buckeye State. Four counties top the list of the number of the dead voters still listed as being active. Franklin County lists more than 1,100. Mahoning County shows nearly 1,500. Cuyahoga County lists nearly 500, but the county with the highest number of deceased voters, Hamilton County, with nearly 1,700. The County Board of Elections says it takes time to take dead voters out of the active voter file, but they haven't seen any cases of people trying to vote in place of dead voter. It's a one-year anniversary today, but no one feels much like celebrating the environmental nightmare.
And what are Michelle Obama and Jill Biden doing in Columbus tomorrow? We'll tell you when Athens Midday returns. Well, First Lady Michelle Obama and Jill Biden, Vice President Joe Biden's wife, will be in Columbus tomorrow in support of military families. According to the Columbus Dispatch, the Military Families Initiative kicked off at a White House ceremony today. The initiative is to ensure that military families have the support they need while their family members are deployed. A concert-style event will take place after 5 o'clock tomorrow for National Guard members and their families. The tour ends in Columbus after stops in North Carolina, Texas, and Colorado. In Washington, President Obama will unveil a new plan to help control the national debt. The plan includes making cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, but Republicans say the new proposal does not make big enough cuts to the budget. The health care plan proposed by the president last year was designed to reduce the debt by $1 trillion over the next 20 years.
Florida's governor is announcing a new plan to increase tourism a year after the rig explosion that led to the largest offshore oil spill in U.S. history. The explosion killed 11 people and gushed oil into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the oil company responsible for the disaster, BP, is giving the state's tourism council a $30 million grant. The council must use a 3-year grant to promote tourism and build awareness of the Northwest Florida coast. BP has now committed $82 million to Florida to help rebuild tourism and for seafood testing and marketing. Toyota is stopping production at 5 of its European plants for 8 days. It's an effort to manage parts supplies following the earthquake and tsunami that hit Japan last month. Workers say the shutdown is being planned around scheduled public holidays to make it easier for employees to take time off. Factories in Japan are expected to reopen next week at about 50% of its normal production.
A makeshift memorial is forming at a Belarus subway station after a deadly terrorist attack. A bomb went off at a metro station Monday evening, killing a dozen people and hurting a dozen more. Belarusian authorities have arrested several suspects, and Russian investigators are expected to join the search for more. Belarus is observing a national day of mourning for the victims. Ousted Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak and his 2 sons are being held by authorities. The Justice Ministry is investigating the killing of protesters during an uprising that overthrew Mubarak's government. This comes after Mubarak suffered a heart attack while under questioning for corruption. The former president says the probe seeks to damage the reputation of him and his family. It's a beautiful day right now, but is it going to last through the weekend? Kirsty Zontini has your forecast.
And one Ohio player is honored this week. We'll tell you how she made national headlines. Athens MidDay is back in 2 minutes.